always has a comment to make about everything. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book as well, to empower women so they don't feel ashamed or embarrassed, where they can do whatever procedure they want as long as it's done naturally and they're doing it for themselves and they feel good about it. Why be ashamed or why hide it?
Welcome to the Fearless Happyness Podcast, where we showcase phenomenal individuals who have overcome serious traumas, life obstacles, and challenges to find their own path to fearless happiness. Listen as Max Nijst invites guests from all around the world to share their experiences and spread strength, hope, and faith. This is the Fearless Happyness Podcast, and this is Max Nijst.
All right, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happyness Podcast, here for another amazing and special guest. I know I say that all the time, but it is true. All my guests are special and amazing. So what I like to do, Sandra, is have you introduce yourself to my audience, like who you are, what it is you do, and then we're going to get rocking and rolling.
Okay, great. My name is Sandra Lena Silverman. I live in Miami, Florida, and I'm an author. My book was a national #1 bestseller, and the book title is From Bullshit to Botox.
I love that. I love that title, From Bullshit to Botox. Awesome. So, well, one, we're going to definitely talk about your book, but what I like to do is, right, just from the title, right, Bullshit to Botox, let's go back a little bit and tell my audience, like, some of those challenges you faced that got you to where you were, where you were at to where you're at today, and what brought the book about. And I got to say, I love that title.
Thank you. The title, actually, my friend came up with the title. So the book was written last April and we didn't have a title. So I was on vacation and I don't know what happened at 3 a.m. She was smoking weed and she just had this burst of energy. So when I woke up the next day, I had 13 titles and subtitles and it felt like Christmas morning. I couldn't even believe it. So that's where the title came from. So my friend actually helped with the title. And so the journey started when I was 26. Just started doing a lot of procedures and beauty treatments and that sort of thing. And then just over time, so many people would ask me questions about different treatments or reverse aging, different cosmetic procedures that I had. So I decided to write the book. And I have a lot of experts in the book, which are amazing. So everything is pretty self-explanatory. So somebody can read the book. It's humorous and self-deprecating and funny and my journey. But at the same time, there's a lot of good information. Everything is explained so well. So if somebody's looking for some sort of a beauty treatment or a procedure, they can just use the book kind of as a guide, but it's an actual funny story as well.
Oh, I love it. Well, especially when procedures, right? I mean, you have to be careful when and do your research, like I'm sure you do, right?
Yes.
I mean, because you see it all over like social media sometimes, like the bad, like where either the patient overdid it, right? And
right.
It's addicted to the procedures, or like my wife used to watch that show Botched, right?
Yes.
They show someone who the doctor messed up and it's like, oh my God, how did they fix this? So in writing your book, right, you got to laugh at yourself and then also at the same time give some value to your readers, right? So that they can make an informed decision, right? But talk about like some of the things that you experienced as you were going through this process right? Because I'm sure there's people out there who were like, got your book and were like, where was this when I started? Right. Like, cause I have no idea. And I love what Sandra's writing because I wish I had this. You're like a coach in a book, right? To help them with their process.
So I've got a lot of procedures that most people wouldn't. For example, I cut the skin on my elbows. I found this doctor in New York. It took me years to find her. So I hated the extra skin that I had on my elbows. And most doctors will just do a complete arm lift, but nobody really just focused on the elbows. So I just Googled and just kept researching. And finally I found her. She's in New York City. So that's one procedure that most people wouldn't even think of or even care about. But that was one that I obsessed over. I obsessed every day looking in the mirror and seeing the elbow skin. And it took 2 years for the elbows to heal, but now they're pretty much healed. And I just had the scars camouflaged with the tattooing. It's just flesh color. So that was one that most people probably wouldn't think of. I've had some mistakes, which I talk about in the book as well, that actually caused me to either get another surgery or I have to, for example, I did liposuction on my knees and my stomach, which I shouldn't have done. The doctor took out way too much fat. So the stomach I was able to correct with the tummy tuck, but my knees, I'm having a hard time correcting. So I'm constantly having to do body threads with the knees or actual put filler in my knees to compensate for where they had removed the fat. So those are two that I definitely regret. And then there was another procedure called a Y lift that I did. And the first time I did it, it was great. The doctor was able to lift my jowls. This is before I had my facelift. The second time I did it, which was 2 years after, he pie faced me. So he put so much filler in my face, which I'm sure a lot of women have experienced, and he blew my face up literally like a round pie. So that was a bad procedure as well. And that caused a lot of extra loose skin. So therefore, I was able to 2 years after that get a facelift, which corrected. But so I've definitely made some mistakes. But overall, in the book, most of the procedures all the procedures that I talk about were good. And then I just talk about the few that I had made a mistake. So it's really important that you do your research and you go to the right doctors or injectors.
Right. Because, well, like you said, I mean, if you're not careful, the doctor, like I've seen that where someone has, like you don't want to be rude, but you see the lips they get done and you're like,
Mhm.
they can barely talk because I don't know if it just got done or they were overfilled or what, right? Because that's your body, that you have to live with. Because how do I want to say this, right? Like all of us have certain things we obsess over on our bodies, correct? And
Yes.
and in order to correct it or do it the right way, do your homework is what you're telling everybody. Because like we were talking about, botched, and some of these I've seen on that show where they went to some doctor that he really never performed any of these kind of procedures. They're just a regular, right?
Mhm.
That they could do it. Like I know for me, if I was going to have a procedure, I want to know that this doctor has done these for years and years and years, and right, and has reviews or testimonies from previous patients that, because it could be easily you could be easily scarred for life if you're not careful, correct?
Oh, 100%. It's better to find a surgeon that specializes. If you're going to get a facelift, go to somebody that specializes in faces only, not somebody that will do tummy tucks and they'll do arm lifts or whatever, that they just specifically focus on the face. So I've learned that lesson as well. Same thing with tummy tucks, just go to the person that specializes in those things, lip lifts, whatever it is.
Well, it looked like for you, for example, you found it took you a couple years to find the doctor for your elbows, right?
Yes.
Because you weren't going to just pick any plastic surgeon to say, hey, I don't like my elbows, can you fix this? Because like you said, they might do a whole other procedure that's not even necessary.
They would do a complete arm lift. And when I found her, she said, no, I've had so many people just ask for the elbows. So I decided to do them. And it was easy. She does it in her office under a local anesthetic, and it wasn't a big deal. But it takes time to research and find the right people. And the same with my facelift. It took me 2 years to find the right doctor for my facelift as well. And that was just trial and error, looking at before and afters, looking at different Instagrams, reading the reviews, same thing.
So how did you overcome that challenge when that doctor, what did you call it, pie faced you?
Oh, when he pie faced me, it took so long to get. I never even got all the filler out at the time. Once I got the facelift, he was able to get the rest out, but he had put so much filler in my face that it took probably a year and a half to try to dissolve. It was horrible, but then it caused a lot of extra loose skin, and that's when I got the facelift.
Right? Because that can be very traumatic, right?
It was.
Doctor does that to you, and now you've got to wait.
It was horrible.
right? And like, I know if it was me, I wouldn't even want to go out in the public, right? Because this doctor messed me up, and
Yeah, I was really mad because people looked at me like, what did you do to your face? And it wasn't on purpose. But, some women like that look. There are a lot of people that overfill and they're fine with it. I just was not one of them. I like my face to look more sculpted and natural.
More natural, correct.
Mhm.
I know there's a famous person, and I can't remember their name, and they always show her like she's the extreme. God, I can't think of her name, but you can tell she's had like the extreme amount of procedures done to her. I mean, she comes from a very rich family, but I forget her name, but it's like from the beginning to where she at now, you can't even recognize her.
Oh, no, she's probably unrecognizable.
Yeah. And I was like, and I think about some of the movie stars, look at, okay, um, he's a famous movie star that got a lot. He doesn't even look like he did when he first started. God, what is his name?
Oh,
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke, right. I remember.
Right. So I see him
Yeah.
now compared to when he first started acting. And it was like, I didn't even understand that. Like, he wasn't a bad looking man, in the beginning.
No, he would. Yeah, not at all.
And then you see some actresses and stuff that have overdone it and stuff like that. So what I'm getting at, so what would your advice be to someone, who sees this and think this is the thing to do? Like, what kind of homework would you tell them, especially say someone who's in their, maybe teens or early 20s who thinks I need to get a procedure done? What would your advice to them be?
My advice would be not to do any work at that young age, because a lot of these girls are now going into the doctor's offices with photos of AI or girls that are filtered from an app and telling the doctors, this is what I want to look like, which isn't realistic. Or they're going in and they're removing the buccal fat that they need as they get older, because you need that fat so your face doesn't sag. And a lot of them are removing it. So my advice would be not to have any work done unless you have a rhinoplasty that you absolutely need because you're insecure, or, something like that, which isn't a big deal. But as far as fillers and Botox and that sort of thing, I would not recommend for girls that are that young.
Because if you do take the fat that's necessary for your face, right, then talk about that. What does that mean if you take too much?
Well, you're going to look so much older because you need that fat as we age. Like if you're removing that in your 20s, as you get older, your skin is just going to sag. You're just going to look more gaunt. Like you need that fat. And a lot of girls don't understand that because they want to have this more sculpted look at a younger age. Right. And I feel like that's a mistake. Even putting filler in your face at that young age, like your skin it's going to expand your face. Your skin's eventually going to sag. And it's better to prolong that as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. Because if you do it too young, right, like you said, you're going to definitely look older before your time.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of these younger girls do look older just because of all the work they're having done.
Oh, I know. And I've seen, like, just scrolling through social media and stuff like that, some of the, like, that pop up, like the bad things that have happened. And it's funny that you're here today because talking about this, right? So I help take care of my 93-year-old mother-in-law, right? So, and it's funny, she goes in the bathroom, right? And as so she'll come out as I'm cooking breakfast. She'll come through the kitchen, right? So she'll look at me and she'll go, Max, not enough room for any more wrinkles on my face. So I'm my next birthday for, and then she'll see the mirror again and she'll turn around and she'll say the same thing, like, Max, there's no more room for any wrinkles. I said, Mom, you look pretty good for 93 years old. So
amazing.
Wow. She goes, no, there's too many wrinkles, right? So we joke around and now I could tell her, hey, I have a friend that you could talk to. You want to do your research, Mom? I got the friend for you. We could read her book.
That's so funny.
And
I love it.
But she jokes and she realizes, but she's like, and then what did she tell me one day? She was like, I don't understand why these young girls are doing that stuff to their face at a young age, right? She said, I don't understand why they're right. Like let nature take its course and then decide later when you're older. Right?
Exactly.
she goes, some of them look scarier than I do. And I had to laugh. Like, I'm like, yeah, you're right, Mom. Like, well, why do they do that? You know, and I just love having those conversations with her. But so in writing your book, what was the toughest part about writing that book? And
The toughest part was actually writing the book. So basically, from the beginning, I came up with the table of contents and I came up with the introduction, and then I soon realized I'm not a writer. And I had the information, but I couldn't write. I just was at such a loss. So I hired Erica Florentine, who was my co-writer. She's a New York Times bestselling author, and she's amazing. So she was so enthusiastic about the project. She loved it so much. She was so good in helping to interview all the experts. Everybody loved her, and we were able to complete the book. We started in October of last year, and the book was completely finished, written by April.
I love it.
And that's when we didn't have the name. And then my friend Haya came up with the name. So that's what happened. So I soon realized that I'm not a writer. So that was probably the biggest obstacle.
You know, that's the tough part, right? Is putting
Mhm.
together like when I wrote my book, when I first mentioned it years ago, right? I told my friend, I said, I'm going to write a book, right? And there's all this information in my head. And he goes, do you have an outline? And I'm like, a what?
Mhm.
He goes,
Right.
you have an outline, right? And like you said, like I couldn't get what was in my head into the different parts of the book.
Right.
And you know, he sat with me and helped me put together my outline. And then it was
Mhm.
easy. But like you said, I'm not a writer. I need some prompting sometimes to get that stuff, you know, out of my brain. And I love what you said, because sometimes it's like in anything, right? When you need help, it's okay. Like it's a strength.
It's okay.
Right.
And you know, it's so interesting to me because and Eric and I have had this conversation so many times. She's a ghostwriter as well. And I didn't want her to be a ghostwriter because she is a reputable writer and I wanted her to be on the book as well. So many people that she'll work with, they're CEOs of different companies. They'll hire her as a ghostwriter, but they won't include her as a co-writer, or co-author, even though she has, the New York Times best-selling author. And these are first-time writers, but they want people to think that they actually wrote the book themselves. So they'll only use her as a ghostwriter, which was so strange to me because she's an accomplished writer.
Yeah. And that, I think there's nothing wrong with writing with someone who already has done what you want to do. Right.
Right.
That's like what they call collaboration or teamwork, right? There's
Exactly.
nothing
And
wrong.
I think that's what helped, along with the name, but that's what helped From Bullshit to Botox become a national #1 bestseller so quickly, because her credentials were on the book as well. So when the book pre-saled in October, by the second week, we did a marketing campaign, an email marketing campaign, and the Kindle went crazy and became a #1 national bestseller 2 weeks later. And part of that, I think, was the name of the book because people, like the name. But the other part probably was her credentials.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
like I said, I love the title of the book,
Thank you.
right? From bullshit to Botox, and right, because that tells the audience. I mean, that is such an awesome title that I think even someone just picking up the book would want to start reading it. Like, what's this about, right? And then they get to see your journey of this stuff you've been through and all the research you've done, and basically helping people make informed decisions when it comes to their bodies, right? Whether
Mhm.
it could be right tummy tucks, elbow, face,
Yeah,
whatever,
everything's in there.
everything.
We didn't really miss anything. I mean, I pretty much haven't missed anything. I've worked on every part of my body except for my left foot. So everything's been touched and everything was talked about in the book. And then there's the holistic part to the book. So the second part is like more internal work, holistic work, nutrition, lymphatic work, life coaching,
Well,
that sort of
I
thing.
was going to get to that. So let's
Yeah.
talk that part, right? Because that's where I think this is going to be instrumental for people and vital to understand. It wasn't you just putting this stuff in a book and saying, here, this is what you do, right? But there's
Mhm.
a whole, like you said, holistic side, nutrition
Mhm.
side, everything. Talk about that and how that got into the book, right? Because it's like, to me, it's like going into recovery, right? Like getting sober.
Yeah.
It's gonna, I can't do it by myself.
No.
So
Well, everything starts from the inside anyhow. So I wasn't balanced at all mentally. I didn't have a lot of energy at times in my life. So once I started working with my holistic doctor, we started doing different tests and nutritional, micronutrient testing, and she put me on certain supplements where I was deficient. And a lot of times you don't even know if you're deficient if you're just going to your regular doctor and just getting a regular blood panel. So we just go deeper than just the regular blood panel. And also the peptides she put me on, and I take, because I'm a vegetarian, so it's a little challenging for me to make sure I get all the vitamins that I need. So I actually inject a vitamin shot every other day, which is super helpful. It's B, C, magnesium, glutathione, and a little bit of a fat burner called a MIC, all in one injection. And plus I take NADs and different peptides. Once I started incorporating that along with increasing my protein intake, because for a short period of time I was only maybe eating like 50 grams a day of protein, and that wasn't enough. So I was working out 6 days a week, weight training, but not actually building muscle because I wasn't really eating enough protein. So once I started doing all of that, plus being consistent with my workouts, I felt so much more balanced as a person and just internally happier. And started working also with this life coach in LA. And he taught me a lot about boundaries and eliminating toxic people from my life. And I was going through a separation at the time when I met him, and he really helped a lot. So I feel like that's super important for people if you don't want to go through actual therapy and just rehashing your past over and over again. And you just want to talk about your present and your future and where you're going. And the life coaching was really beneficial with, his name was Peter. And then the second life coach that I talk about in the book, she actually helped me break through just barriers that I had internally about this journey in terms of promoting my book. I was really scared of Instagram and being on camera. So I started the Instagram journey last April once the book was finished, because after talking to various publishers, they all said you need a following, especially for nonfiction, which I didn't have at 800 followers. So she helped me break through my fears of being on camera, talking on camera, photographing myself, things like that. So that was really beneficial as well.
yeah, and that's tough. I mean, some of these, you got to admit, some of these influencers, right? They make it look so easy. They're doing all this stuff. And I've even had, like, in my case, people say you got to do lives and all that. And I'm like, okay, but inside I'm like, I don't want to get on camera. What if I mess up and I can't even speak, right? I do the old stuttering because I can't get out the words I want to get out. But I love how you shared that, because it is a whole, like, you got to work on just like in therapy or anything, right? You got to work on the whole person, right? You got to work on the insides as much as the outsides, right? And
Yeah.
you're doing this work on yourself and you're not healthy, that can be damaging to your body, right? Because of the
Yes.
body goes through. And I love that you're talking about supplements and peptides, and right, because from what I'm hearing, a lot of the peptides they have nowadays that I've been researching are actually really good for your body and in helping repair or
Mm-hmm.
reduce inflammation so you
Yes.
can heal better for whatever. It could be an injury you got doing sports.
Right.
And something you said that was interesting too is, I mean, women have to increase their intake of protein when they're working out, or it's not going to do them any good, right? Just like a man has to have so many
Mm-hmm.
grams of protein a day, a woman does too if she's doing cardio and lifting weights and trying to get her body in shape. Correct?
Correct, because you won't build muscle if you don't.
Right? Because then I heard your body is just, it's not building muscle, but it's just storing the food that you
Mm-hmm.
eat because you don't have enough protein. And
Yeah, you definitely need, for me, I have to I have to consume more than 100 grams per day, which I do for my size, but some women even more than that, depending if you want to build muscle. If you don't want to build muscle, then that's different. But if you're looking to build, you have to you have to consume a lot of protein.
Right. Because I think, well, that's kind of like the body's building block anyway, right? If you want to
Right.
any and I think that's why well, that was a nerve thing, but most of the time when I've had a surgery like for my ankle or my back, I think the reason I healed quicker is because I take so much protein, and I try to stay right, like the next day or the day 2 days after. You want to go for a walk just from here to the sign? I said no, we'll go around the whole floor, right? Because I hear the more you get your blood flowing, the better your body's going to heal, whether it's a procedure for your face or your arms or whatever, or a surgery. Remember, I mean, the old days, they used to say you should rest in bed and don't move, right? But now that's like gone from the wayside from what I hear from doctors. They want you to move and as quickly as possible to get the blood flowing. And
Definitely.
So, you know, and if you're listening, audience, see, there's so much help she got for herself, right? Life coaches, nutritionists, right? She totally has done the homework for you.
All of it.
All of it. So, I mean, if you want to go get her book, it's all going to be in there, and it's all going to show you, right? I mean, this is because my wife has had some procedures done too. And because, you know, she did her research, I mean, like she healed wonderfully. Like you can't even, because I got to say, like when we were in the, when she was telling me about her tummy tuck and she was showing me, like when she was doing her research, some of the, like the worst case scenarios to like her case where she just heals really well.
Yeah.
I go, you must have had to be freaked out. And she goes, absolutely. Like it gets sometimes you get so scared, you're paralyzed. Like, I don't know if I can do this or, you know, but luckily for her, if you saw her, you can't even see her scars. Like,
It's amazing.
You know, but I think it's because she eats healthy like you do. Like she gets a certain amount of supplements in her body, and right, because some of us need help, especially as we get older, right? We're not.
I talk about the scars in the book too, how to reduce the scarring. And it's just like different lasers, wearing silicone strips right after the procedure, plus lasers, maybe a V-beam to take the redness away. And then once you have the scar completely flat, you can camouflage it with tattooing. And that's what I've done.
Right. Like women who have had breast implants or reduction.
All of it.
You see their, let's say their nipple, and you can't even tell it's a tattoo because it looks
right. Exactly.
Right? Because there's people out there that specialize in helping women with their, you know, with breast implants or whatever, or the scars from a tummy tuck, or, you know, and but you heard everybody. Sandra said, do your homework and make sure you research people and make sure that they specialize in whatever.
Yes, that's the most important, to make sure they specialize in whatever procedure that you want. You don't want somebody that does every type of procedure. You want somebody that does 300 facelifts a year or whatever that number is, if you're going to get a facelift.
So let's talk about some of the challenges when you were getting your work done, right? And the naysayers like, Sandra, you don't need to get that done. Like,
I so much. The facelift was, I got every procedure. Somebody tried to talk me out of it. The facelift, my mom tried to talk me out of it for years. And finally I didn't listen, because that's one of the reasons why I did that Y lift, because she made me promise not to get a facelift. That's why I ended up with the Y lift to begin with. And then I finally just didn't listen to anybody and decided I'm getting what I want. And it worked out.
Sorry, Mom, I love you, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Well, everybody always has a comment to make about everything. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write the book as well, to empower women so they don't feel ashamed or embarrassed, where they can do whatever procedure they want as long as it's done naturally and they're doing it for themselves and they feel good about it. Why be ashamed, or why hide it?
Absolutely, right? Because you got people like yourself that wanted to do it because you, right? But like you said earlier, I think there's people like, say they were in an automobile accident, right? Like you're going to talk someone out of trying to fix something that happened to them, like that was traumatic. you're going to give them a hard time. Like, no. And that's why this book
No.
is going to come in handy for every level of person who wants, whether male or female, actually, if you think about it, that wants to get a procedure done. Because now Sandra has done her homework for you. All you got to do is read her book and make sure you do the right thing and do your research and take care of yourself from the inside out as well. And
Yes,
the more healthy your body is on the inside, the better you're going to heal. Correct?
absolutely. 100%.
And because ultimately, I think I kind of parallel it with my sobriety, right? And before, I hated looking in the mirror, right? Because I was so disgusted with the person I had become, right? And there's people that feel that about themselves who don't like their nose or their lips or
Mhm.
right but if you do your research and you do something because that's something you want to do, you've done your research, right? Ultimately, it's about who's smiling back at you in the mirror, right? Because
Yeah,
it's not about the wife or the husband or the mother or the dad or the daughter, son. It's like, right? Because when you're happy with yourself, people are going to see it.
100%. You're absolutely correct.
And they're not going to notice that you've had any work. They're just going to say, wow, look at that smile Sandra's got. I want that smile. You know what I mean? Like, and
Thank you.
smile, everybody. And I mean, I'm glad you're here today because, I mean, the resilience it takes to come back from what you've been through, some people either freeze and they get stuck and they don't want to, they just shut the world out. But you were, okay, I had a mistake done. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to come back better than ever. Right. Because that's basically the resilience I love to talk about on this show is, the people that don't quit on themselves, no matter what it is, whether it's getting a procedure done or getting sober or going through a traumatic event. And right. Because I believe is that we're all children of God, right? And he has no grandchildren and he doesn't make junk. So, if I can bring someone like you on here and tell the world, this is what you need to do, right? Or I suggest you do this before you get any procedure done. And you've already laid the blueprint out for them, right? They're going to make educated and informed decisions about who they go to and what they're going to get done, right?
Yes.
Right? Because have you ever run into, like say a surgeon that reminds you of like a used car salesman because they're just trying to upsell you on everything and you're just like, no, I'm only here for this,
Yes. 100%. That's why you have to be so careful and really do your research because surgeons can talk you into a lot of procedures or things that you may not need
and
as well.
you hear even if it's not a plastic surgery type thing, just something, you need to,
Or even injectors, same thing. Oh, let me do this, let me do that. Like, and then next thing you know, you've 10 vials of filler that you just paid for.
right, that you didn't even need.
Yeah. That's why you just have to go to the right people and really, it's very important to do the research, the proper research.
Well, let me add, that'll lead you to this question, but I want to ask you something. Doing your research, where do you find the best, like the ones you trust the most, like the doctors that you've been to? You could recommend to my audience if there's anybody out there.
Just Googling, like I find a lot of the doctors in New York City are really good and more on the conservative side as opposed to other areas. There are a few doctors that I like in South Florida, but most of the doctors I really like are in New York. I just feel like they're more conservative.
She didn't mention California, but that's okay. We'll do our research in California.
No, I'm sure there are plenty in California as well.
But you're from the
since I'm like an East Coast person, it's a lot closer for me. I really have never done a procedure in California. Not that I wouldn't. It's just more convenient to be on the East Coast.
Yeah, I was just gonna say obviously because you're from the East Coast, right? But
yeah,
I'm just putting it out there, everybody, giving her a hard time because but like she said, do your research. No matter what part of the country you're from, right?
Yeah, I mean you can find good surgeons everywhere. You just have to look.
time and do your due diligence, as they say.
Yes.
And that's with anything in life, right? Like,
Yes.
especially your body, you want to make sure you do extra,
Yeah. And you just want to go to an expert for that particular part of your body.
and see, that's, if you listen to what Sandra's telling you, everybody, there's experts for hands,
Everything.
your elbows, for your knees,
Yeah.
butt, your
Everything.
feet, everything, right? There's people that get into it because they specialize. They want to specialize in a certain part of the body because they want to be the best. And
And that's what you want. You want somebody that has done so many procedures of that one particular body part.
yeah, because I wouldn't want to get my lips done and I'm going to someone who's a butt doctor. You know what I mean?
No. But there are those doctors that do everything. And I stay away from those doctors.
Okay, that's some sound advice, right? I don't think you can get any better than that. Everybody is listen to what Sandra said.
Thank you.
That specialize in a certain area of the body that you're going to get work done. So, so it sounds like, I mean, you've been a labor of love, right? Making sure you did it the right way, even when there was a mistake, going back and correcting, writing your book, right? How has the support been for your book since it's come out? And how's the family been? Your family?
It's been amazing. So I really love all the experts in my book because they were so supportive. And these are people that I go to regularly. And everybody was just so giving of their time. And it just worked out so well. And I was just so thrilled about that. And just everybody around me has been so supportive. I just got a DM today because I'm from Maryland originally. Somebody DM'd me to ask me if I want to do a book tour first in the area, just in certain offices. I guess they've all come together and they're interested in the book and doing like a book signing. Just everybody's been so supportive, which has been amazing, as well as my family, of course. They're great. I have 2 kids and they're my best friends.
That's awesome. And because you get support like that from doctors and offices that come and do book signings.
Yeah, it's so nice.
No, that just it tells me that you did something great. You know what I mean?
Thank you. And I just have a lot of people who read the book. They'll take a picture of it or they'll put it on my Instagram. They'll tag me. It's also nice. So many people are, and these are strangers that are so supportive. And
that's the best sometimes.
Yeah.
You don't know, puts a picture of your book and says, I love your book, or
yeah, no, it happens a lot. And I'm so grateful.
Kind of support you need. That's kind of support we all need in this life we call living on earth right now, because as you know, there's so many crazy things going on in the world when it comes to other things like politics or this. It's good and refreshing to have someone come on here and talk about how much they love writing their book and have led by example, right? And everybody, she looks great. You could just see the smile on her face.
Thank you.
And so this has been like an amazing time. So grateful that you're here.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to ask you some of the questions that I love to ask. Go ahead.
Okay.
Into what we've been talking about, like, so fearless, right? What does fearless mean to you, Sandra? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
To me, fearless is just living your life and doing what you want to do and not worrying about what other people think and not being scared. So I'm just living my life in a non-fearful way. I'm not really afraid of anything. And I'm going through a divorce right now that I think a lot of women would be more scared. And I just took that leap to file for divorce in July and start dating 2 weeks later. And it's been a lot of fun, but just basically living your life and not worrying about what other people think. And
right, you heard her.
Great.
That's a example of maybe having some fear but doing it anyway, right? That's
yes.
It takes a lot of courage, right? And divorce is never fun. So
no,
for sharing that with me and my audience. The next one is happiness. You see, I put a Y in it. What does happiness mean to you, Sandra? And how does that show up in your life on a daily basis?
I just wake up every day happy. And it wasn't always like that because I feel like for years I didn't really love myself. But once I started to really love myself and just really get myself balanced, I just became such a much happier person. So I just wake up every day like really positive, really happy, grateful, have a lot of gratitude. And every day has been like a new adventure.
I love it. I love it. But you heard that key word she said right towards the end, right? Gratitude. And that's been a common theme with all my guests. No matter the level of success they have in their lives, right? They always say the best thing you could do is just leave with a grateful heart, and things always.
Yes,
I love it, right?
definitely.
Like my mentors always said, if you're not grateful today, what day you waiting on?
Yeah, it's true.
I'd always scratch my head and go, I don't know. Right? But I'm grateful to be here with you today. So if my audience wants to get your book or reach out to you because they have questions, how does my audience get a hold of you, and how do they get your book, or where can they get your book?
So the book is sold on Amazon and Barnes and Noble online. And if they're in the US, if they're outside of the US, then it's like Canada, Amazon. There are a couple, they can just Google that as well outside of the US. But inside the US would be Amazon, Barnes and Noble. I have a website, sandralenasilverman.com, as well as Instagram, which is Sandra Lena Silverman as well. So they can DM me or leave a message on my website or email me.
You heard it. Either messenger, she'll get back to you, everybody. Well,
Thank you.
Sandra, this has been educational and inspiring for me, right? Because I know so many people that do things like impulsively. Now I have
Yes.
so to like, oh, why don't you go to this episode and listen to what Sandra had to say?
Thank you.
And it's been an honor to have you here. I've been grateful that you took.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you.
So, yeah, I love it. I've learned so many new things, right? But you're not quite off the hook just yet. I get to ask my favorite question. I ask.
Okay.
Yes, and it goes like this. What is the one piece of advice you could give my audience, Sandra, that will help them grow as a human being and become better people?
To really love yourself. That's the best advice that I can give. Whatever that is, however you can get there, you have to love yourself.
I love it. I love it. Well, you heard her, everybody. This has been an amazing time, and you heard her. If Sandra taught you something, if she made you think, if she made you smile, if she made you go, I like that. Please go to iTunes and leave a 5-star review so more people can find the podcast. And again, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this world. This is Max from the Fearless Happyness Podcast. Until next time.
Are you tired of being weighed down by life's traumas and struggles? Join the Fearless Happyness lifestyle and let us guide you toward a brighter future. Explore our past podcast episodes and get a copy of the Fearless Happyness book to ignite your inner strength. If you or someone you love is battling addiction or facing challenges related to unresolved trauma, know that we are here for you. Visit maxnijst.org, maxnijst.org, and take the first steps toward finding your fearless happiness. Thank you for listening. This has been a production of Fearless Happyness.